Hey, what is up, everyone? Another edition of HFIL Reacts. I am Harvest, and joining me, as always, is the man on the comms.
Herohom on the comms. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, Hero, it's been a while since we did anything like this. How you been? How's things been going since the last time we talked?
Man, everything's going pretty good. Got a pretty big week lined up here. Going to be commentating for the Multiverses tournament for Citadel. That's going to be on Wednesday, where we already have 1,000 entrants. So that's going to be fun. And then over the weekend, going to JFAX, going to commentate there for 3 days, and the 8 tournaments that we're going to have over there. So yeah, I'm busy, and it's been fun, and just keep the good times rolling.
It's been real busy, at least in general for us too. We got our next tournament coming up in January 6th, the first Saturday, July 6th. Why not January? Wow. Time is an illusion. But some other tournaments some people might be getting excited for is Dragonball Sparking Zero. So we know Multiverse is coming up. We've got other massive events coming up. But in the past, we've been seeing how big Dragon Ball fighting games have been. It looks like Sparking Zero is going to be the next big Dragon Ball fighting game. Quick overview. How does it look to you, Hero, as far as like in the trailers and the gameplay? What are you thinking?
Man, it looks beautiful. I've watched the trailer so many times on repeat over and over. The artwork, the graphics, the fights. I cannot wait for this game to come out, and there's so much to talk about. But one of the most noticeable things you see is how visually the game looks, and it is amazing. And I can't wait to see more trailers released to when the game comes out, which is going to be October, I believe, 11th. So we have a little while, which means more trailers to come and more fights that we'll be able to see. But I've liked everything I've seen so far. And as you guys know, or if you don't know, you should. Like, we are Dragon Ball Z fans here, so very excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, have you ever been able to figure out what HFIL stands for? I know a few people haven't had no idea. They just see the logo or names and that's it. It was stolen from Dragon Ball originally. The home for infinite losers, that's where everyone who fell off Snake Way would head to, or even the villains or evil characters, King Yenma would send them to HFIL, which was just the American censorship of the word hell, home for infinite losers. But it looks like this game is going to be a winner for sure. I've been seeing a lot of people looking at it, critiquing it. The big thing that has been coming out of this, I've been seeing more recently, has been like the artwork, the style. The Dragon Ball anime has been known for breaking people's faces almost with the way their eyes are shaped, but in previous games have been able to do that. And a lot of people have been pointing out how absolutely beautiful and how absolutely faithful this game looks compared to the anime.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can say about the artwork and how the game looks visually. It's just, if you guys haven't seen it, just take a look at it, and it's full. One of the most amazing games visually that I've seen in a very long time from a fighting game. Probably the best looking visually that I've seen so far, to be honest. Maybe that's just a hype talking, but I need for you guys to look at it and then, just let us know in the comments below, like, do you agree? Like, this might be the most best looking fighting game. Not saying that it is the best fighting game and it hasn't even came out yet, but visually, just want to know you guys' thoughts. Do you guys agree? Is this one of the most, if not the most, beautiful games you guys have seen visually for a fighting game? Now, there is one thing I do want to bring up with this game, and I'm going to need a minute here because I'm about out. One thing that I've noticed with this game is they said that with the balancing, it isn't going to be balanced. It's going to be based off of, like, if the character was strong in the anime or the show, like, they're going to be strong in the game. But if they were weaker, then they're just going to be weak in the game too. And I cannot explain for the life of me. You know what? I just want to take a minute. I just want to talk about Yamcha. Yamcha might be the most hold character, not just in Dragon Ball, but in the anime universe. This man from the beginning started off pretty respected, and before I get killed in the comments, I mean way back in the day, he was respected. He had Wolf Fang Fist. He had Bulma. He gets blown up by a Cyberman, and that's it. And the one opportunity he has to look decent in this game where it's not balanced. Now he's not gonna look decent. Come on, man. Y'all killing me, man. Do something with Yamcha. Yamcha, fight back. Please. Yamcha, look. Yamcha, look at.
I mean, in absolute fairness, Yamcha was one of the most broken characters in Fighter Z prior. He was top tier until they just completely ruined him in future updates. So, Yamcha did have his time in the sun in the last game.
It was temporary, and as you said, they nerfed him to the ground and made him unusable. It's just, come on, Yamcha needs to catch a break.
Honestly, I am just sad in general about that. I'm glad you did bring that up, that they made that announcement, that change. That, whether it was Yamcha for you, for me, Tien. One of my favorite fights in Dragon Ball Z in general, we'll talk definitely some of our favorites, is Tien and Trunks. And Tien is beating the crap out of Trunks in that BoJack movie. And then Trunks goes Super Saiyan, the fight ends immediately. It sucks that that's how power scaling the show is going to go, and it sucks that's how power scaling in this game is going to go. It makes sense. Master Roshi shouldn't be beating Ultra Instinct Goku, but it's also a fighting game. We can just have fun with these certain techniques or whatever, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, for the weaker characters that are in the show, let them get a moment to shine. Yamcha had his moment for a brief moment in Fighters. Like, just let these weak characters at least have a small moment, an opportunity for people that, like, if Tien or if Yamcha or if Krillin are your favorite, like, characters for whatever weird reason, if they're your favorite characters and you want to box with them in the game, you're gonna have a hard time against some of the people that are gonna be spamming Goku, Vegeta, Broly, etc. So it's just, I feel bad for y'all the most.
Speaking of this, all the Gokus, the Brolys, everyone, this roster is pretty massive already. Some of the rumors have been saying that there might be over 100 different characters, we'll say. I'm going to use that word very loosely that's in this game. And why I'm saying that is that chances are about 24 of those characters are just different variations of Vegeta and Goku. Like you got Ultra Instinct Vegeta, Super Vegeta, Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, Captain Ginyu Goku. I don't think that last one's real, but it's a little bit much on the Vegeta and Goku, but it's still kind of cool to have 100 fighters, even if only like 60 of them are actually unique.
I think just because of how the show was, like you have all these different variations of Goku and Vegeta. So I'm not too mad at them for having those different versions of Goku and Vegeta because I'll probably play through every single one of them because each one of them brings something unique that the other character doesn't have or that the other character didn't learn until they powered up. So I do think that they did right by doing that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section if you agree or not. But I do think that that's pretty cool that you're going to see like base Goku, you're going to see Kaioken, you're going to see Super Saiyan, and you're going to see Super Saiyan 3, which a lot of people are probably going to use just because of his finisher. So like there's just different versions of these different characters that I do want to play as individuals instead of having to power up like each time. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And I will say as well with these characters, there hasn't really been many GT characters announced. I think Super Saiyan 4 Goku has been announced, or maybe I'm just seeing like fan pictures postings of that. But a lot of the additional characters outside of the Z fighters and your primary villains, yourself, Frieza, and Perfect Cell, has been one-off or smaller villains from Super versus using like an Android 17 or Baby, for example, or Mega Shenron. So are we going to start getting GT characters soon, or is that going to be long down the road with the DLC? Because I know that was with Fighter Z. We didn't get Omega Shenron until deep, deep into it.
I feel like that's something that's going to come later, but we'll see. I don't think they're not going to release every character at once because, money, right? So DLC characters that are going to be released certain times, different seasons. I believe GT will probably be one of the later ones because people are going to want to see more relevant characters that are still kind of fresh on their minds. Whereas with GT, I'm not sure how many people are still watching that or if they just picked it up recently. But a lot of us have already seen it in its entirety way back in the day. So it would just be nostalgia for us to see some of those characters for those that are actually into GT. I have my opinion on the show, but that's just, that's for a different time. But there are some characters from that show that I like Super Hell 17. So definitely looking forward to some of those characters if they do make their way into the game.
I know we just mentioned GT, but I'm talking Dragon Ball as a whole for this next one for both of us. Is
Mhm.
there a certain character that hasn't been announced yet? GT, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Daikon, whatever that is. Is there a character that hasn't been announced yet that you want to see in this game?
I think there's a couple. I think one that comes to mind is Oob. I don't know if he's been announced yet.
Yes.
But I would like to see him in the game just because of how that ended in Dragon Ball Z. Like I like that character. I like the potential he had, and I'd like to see this game bring even more potential out in Oob. And one more, I already mentioned him, but Super Hell 17, because Android 17 was one of my favorite characters. So Super Hell 17, like definitely one of my favorite GT characters, if not my favorite GT character. So if he does make his way into the game, that'll be amazing. But those are the characters that are kind of on my wish list right now, and obviously that wish list will continue to grow as the time goes on.
Now, Super Android 17, great show. It was one of my favorite arcs in GT. Such a cool looking character, too, as far as his costume and everything with his hair. Honestly, I think that version of Android 17 looks so much better than Park Ranger 17 we got in Super. Like it's
Agreed.
okay, but you need just the ascot and the black shirt and everything, and then like the buff version with the hair. Oh, so cool looking. Um, for me, you said two, so I'm gonna throw out two. One of
Okay.
them, going way back to Dragon Ball, Mercenary Tao. He was a fun
Okay.
character to play, like the Budokai versions. He couldn't fly. He just chucked a log and sat on it. It was great. So Mercenary Tao would be cool to see. And I'm a huge Piccolo fan. And for a long while, the closest thing you had to a character that could beat Goku was somebody like Piccolo, and that's Pikkon. Like the
Mm,
Ultra World, Other World Tournament, that's very filler saga, a filler character in general. But that short amount of time he had was just so impactful because he just looked so cool. He acted so cool. It's like, man, Pikkon was awesome.
Filler or not, I feel like PyCon is a fan favorite. A lot of people will probably agree with you on that one. So good pick with that. PyCon is somebody that I would love to see in the game. So hopefully we can get that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've played a lot of Dragon Ball games in our past as well, both of us.
Hmm.
What was? Tell me a little bit about your Dragon Ball video game history. Like, what's your favorite Dragon Ball video game, or even Dragon Ball fighting game?
Budokai, Tenkaichi 3. Between that and maybe Dragon Ball Fighters, like I feel like actually, you know what, the latter is probably my favorite just because that 3v3 aspect, like I think that was the first game that I actually like really tried to lock in and be good at. The other ones I kind of played casually. Budokai played pretty serious at one point, but it was very, very brief. But Dragon Ball Fighters, I definitely played that one a lot. And let me see if there's anything else. There was a game that came out like years ago on the PlayStation. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a Dragon Ball game that came out. It was for PS1. I just don't remember what it was, but I remember getting that and that was fun.
Ultimate Battle?
Yeah, it might have been Ultimate Battle. That sounds about right. Yeah, there's just so many different Dragon Ball Z games, Dragon Ball Fighter games that like I don't remember any of them being bad. I feel like all of them were good to a certain extent, but then some of them were just a little bit higher than the others for me. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Like, what were your games that you felt were a little bit above the others?
I mean, I'm the same with you, especially Budokai 2, not 3. 2 was the best one in my opinion. It was like almost like a Tekken style, the way they had their arena and fighting games back then, Virtual Fighter, Soul Calibur, that style, with minimal flying being important to it. Then down the road, especially with what it looks like with Sparking Zero and the last big, I was like Tenkaichi or I can't remember the exact name of it. They made flight so much more important. It's like I don't know. I kind of like the more 3D arena style that they had like in the back of the Budokai, old Budokai games.
Mm.
And just for my own sake, growing up as a middle school kid, middle school Sean, playing Legacy Goku on the Game Boy Color, so memorable. Not a great game, but I have positive memories of that, and I feel like I just need to mention that game just because of the memories, just to make little baby Sean happy.
Actually forgot about that game, but that was also a pretty good one. I did play that one in its entirety as well. So Definitely a good one to add to the list there. Now, did you play the latest one, Dragon Ball Fighters? Like, what were your thoughts on that?
So I got into Fighters a bit late. So bought the game after the first full wave of DLCs already came out. So I bought it with the entire first wave, played online a little bit. I'm like, I don't even want to put any time in this. I am getting wrecked way too hard. It was a game that felt like there was a quick learning curve. The story mode was fantastic. Was able to get you in a good mode to really catch on to it. But man, the competitive element. I love watching the tournaments for that game when it's at. I think it is still used in a lot of tournaments now, actually. But like watching tournaments for that, it's just so impressive what people can do with these characters.
Yeah, it was one of those games that I wish I could be like really good at and be competitive, but it was also something where it was like I think I didn't want it to be like super competitive for me because I love the series for Dragon Ball and I just wanted to have fun with it more than I wanted to like be super competitive with it. But I did have a big three in that game, and that was Frieza, Gotenks, and Piccolo. And then I think at one point I swapped out Piccolo with Kid Buu, and then I think towards the end I may have just flipped them back. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with those three.
And I think they had both versions of Broly in that game too, didn't they? Like the new movie and the old movie versions.
Yes, they did. Definitely the old one. I'm trying to remember if they had the new one or not. I think so. I think that was one of the later DLCs. I'll have to go back and check. It's been a while, but
Yeah,
I think you're right.
because they had like three waves of DLC for that game. That game had a long shelf life, and that was very impressive because there's not many any kind of fighting game where there is a outside source material. That's the way I want it. Because there's some good anime fighting games out there, like your Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear, but that is a fighting game first and an anime second. While Dragon Ball is the opposite of that. And there's not many movies, shows, anything like movies, anything that's been able to adapt into a fighting game as well as that has.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you think of
there's
one?
so uh
Yeah.
I think the silence speaks it all. No.
No, I mean, Dragon Ball is made to be a fighting game.
Yeah.
There are some animes have tried. I know Naruto's had a long run of fighting games. One Piece,
Mhm.
which I want to bring this up. Goku has been a reoccurring character for some One Piece games. How would you feel if Monkey D. Luffy was a future DLC or whatever in this game? We're
I would
seeing.
love it. I would love it. It's that's actually my favorite anime character, so I would love to see Luffy in the game for sure.
I did not know Monkey was your favorite anime character, or Luffy or Monkey D.
Mhm.
Luffy. I don't watch One Piece. I don't know what people call him in the show. Do they call him
Mo-
just Monkey?
No, they just call him Luffy.
They call him Luffy. See, man, I never really got too much into One Piece. I understand its importance. It's part of the big three with Bleach and Naruto. I was a big Bleach fan. If I had to choose any of those three, for sure, though.
Well, you know where I'm picking. It's gonna be. It's crazy because One Piece isn't even finished yet. Although it's getting close. I think maybe I don't know. It's so long, but I think
14
I
extra
just
episodes.
and counting. There's just so many episodes, but they're all pretty good. One Piece is a show where like if you get past like episode like 60, you
Okay.
know around that time like whether or not like you're gonna stick with it or not. Naruto definitely one of my favorites, and also Bleach too. It's just crazy that I have One Piece so far ahead and that show's not finished. But Naruto definitely one of my favorites of all time. Same with Bleach, but Naruto definitely like way up there when it comes to like favorite anime.
Mhm. And anime is a big important part of it. We're already talking One Piece. We're talking Bleach. This being Dragon Ball. I already said what was my favorite fight in Dragon Ball, and it was from a movie of all things, Tien versus Trunks. Do you have a favorite fight from Dragon Ball?
My favorite fight is Teen Gohan versus Cell, and that's just because when Gohan turned Super Saiyan 2, that was probably my favorite like anime moment because he just watches Android
Oh yeah.
16 dies and he just says, I can't watch it anymore. And then he just powers up and everybody's looking at him like, okay, this kid has arrived.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, Cell versus Gohan. And then when Cell comes back after we thought he was blown up. He comes back, no Goku. Gohan snaps. Gohan goes a little crazy. And then they have that fight, and then Gohan ends up winning that fight. Like, that's probably my favorite fight. And it's kind of ironic because I went on this big rant about Yamcha. And for those of you that are watching that have never watched the show, first off, we appreciate you guys for being here. Maybe you're just a fan of Sparking Zero and just more interested. And you're probably asking the question, is every character in Dragon Ball Hold? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Gohan eventually ends up being weaker, but at that point, he was like at one of his strongest before he gets like beats Gohan. But like he was so strong that even Vegeta had to acknowledge it. Before the Buu Saga, right before they had that little tournament, he's like, "Yo, you were a lot stronger than me back then, but I powered up, and you were reading the books." Why did they do Gohan like that? That's so crazy. But
Honestly, he just wasn't that interesting of a character. Like, I never really cared for Gohan too much after Teen, like Mystic or the Super Gohan. Eh. Teen Gohan to an extent was okay, but like Kid Gohan I thought was cooler than Teen Gohan even. But they just kept on ruining him the further the saga went, for myself at least.
mm,
But like, so I this is a hot take. I think Team Four Star with their fan fiction version or whatever you want to call that retelling version of that fight is more entertaining than what we actually got from Funimation and Chris and the official version.
that's a hot take, bro. I can't agree with that, but there are some people that probably do agree with that. Because Team Four Star was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
One of the funniest things.
They were hilarious. They kept Dragon Ball alive for years because there was nothing new with Dragon Ball for years. It was just Team Four Star doing their retellings. And there was small story changes of like really making clear that Gohan's a pacifist. He did not want to fight whatsoever, and Goku's just not realizing that because training is all he knows. Like it was such a great story the way they told that. Granted, Ghost Snap was hilarious, yes, but they had some great heartfelt moments too. And Dragon Ball in general has such great heartfelt moments. Gohan's probably the best example. Vegeta, oh, his sacrifice in the Buu saga. It's giving me chills just thinking about it now. This was such a great show.
And Team Four Star, just while we're on that topic, also has some heartfelt moments. When Piccolo told Gohan to dodge, I felt that right here.
Yeah, yeah. Who was your favorite character in Dragon Ball then? Was it Vegeta? You seem like a Vegeta guy to me.
Actually, Vegeta, ooh, you're close. Vegeta's probably number 2 or 3. He's probably number 2 actually. But no, I already brought it up. Team Gohan. If I had to pick a version of Gohan, Team Gohan is still my favorite, just
Okay.
because of that moment. Vegeta's number 2, and then Goku's number 3, and then probably Future Trunks number 4, just because
Oh.
everything he went through and how he had to shape up going back to the past, and the way he leveled up and was able to go back into the future and beat 17 to 18 the way he did and beat Cell, like that was crazy. Actually, you know what? I might move him up.